Okay, good morning. August 28, 2017, regularly scheduled Commissioners Court meeting is called to order. We'll start with the invocation followed by the pledge. Mr. Harris.
Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you today and ask that you just be with this court and all its business today. Just guide us in every decision we make. Lord, I ask that you just watch over the men and women and children in the Houston area that are having such a devastating time. Please dole out an extra portion of grace to all of the men and women that are working to rescue all those people. Keep them safe. Let them return home soon. Lord, I ask that same blessing on all our men and women that are scattered all over the world, keeping us safe today, that you return them to their families. In precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank each of you for being here. As always, please turn off your cell phones and pagers except for emergency personnel and law enforcement. And before we get to item 3, Dale, would you come to the microphone, please? I want to give you a little update on what Midland County is doing in relationship to the Gulf Coast incidents. And this will give you some idea. This is one of the coordinators for emergency management. And you can't really see this very well, but we'll leave it out. This is I-10 west of Houston. His car is flooded out. He's in 4.5 feet of water on the interstate. So we've got plenty of troops, but just get us up to speed on what's going on.
Well, since the hurricane and tropical storm have hit, there's been numerous people from the West Texas go. There's been ambulance task forces, Texas Interstate Fire Mutual Aid System Task Force, the district coordinators. In fact, I'm one of the few coordinators that's still in West Texas, or Region 4 for DPS right now. We've got Patrick Retman was deployed. He went to Victoria, and he weathered out the storm at the Pioneer Building in Victoria, working with the disaster district. Dude Speed and Bill Davis went to, from district coordinators, they went to Corpus Christi and weathered it out there. The picture that the judge has is Jerry Huffman. He's the district coordinator for DPS out of San Angelo. He was deployed yesterday with the DPS troopers that are going to Katy. And last night at 10 o'clock, and that picture that he's got came off of the TxDOT camera. 10 o'clock last night going into Katy, he was on Interstate 10 and went into deep water, and the fire department got him out, but needless to say, his vehicle's a total loss. People that have gone on the EMS from here is Northeast Volunteer Fire Department, and each one of these were deployed with paperwork to be deployed. Odessa Fire Rescue, Winkler County, and Elite Ambulance Service, they went on one of the first waves of EMS task forces. The TIFMAS, Texas Fire Mutual Aid System, fire trucks that went were from Midland, Odessa, Lubbock, and Big Spring. Personnel, at least 6 people each, and each truck and each community. That's on the first wave it's going to go, and there's going to be another wave coming up in a couple of days. There's somewhere around between 60 to 80 troopers from Region 4 that have gone. We have supplied everyone that we can that needs something out of old supplies that we had in our storage. Judge Bradford let us use those to assist these people that are going with cots and blankets and whatever they need to help sustain their stay. So far, that's all that I know of that has gone. I think there'll be requests for more. I've been requested now by 7 different counties to go, but I've stayed here because, like I say, I'm the only coordinator that's got experience for all of Region 4 that hadn't been deployed. So until Dude Speed and Bill Davis get back, I'm assisting DPS with all their stuff.
Okay. Also, Dale, as of about 12:30 last night, Dwayne was summoned as a radio communicator because he holds some license that were needed, and so he left with a platform, communication platform from Midland. So
Okay.
please keep these people in your prayers and your thoughts and anything.
Well, we've been inspecting all the vehicles leaving, so everyone that leaves, we inspect before it leaves, and we inspect it when it comes back. I didn't know about his.
No,
So-
I wasn't going to call you last night, so here we go.
So well, I got a call at 3 o'clock Saturday morning to inspect one. So anyway, hopefully these people will be coming back. They've gone for 10 days. Oh, the other thing, Judge, is our complete contingency of Texas State Guard, all except Justin and one other person. Justin is a logistics person that he stayed back to send more equipment as needed and more people. And they were told last night to be prepared for 90-day stay.
So, Dale, thank you, and send our best to those folks, even the volunteer fire departments that have gone. Serves 2 purposes, to get everybody to understand what's involved and how massive this thing is.
There is one other thing, if I might mention it. You know about Greenwood Fire Department's fire they had.
Yeah, but that's separate.
Yes, they had a truck catch fire in their station and burned the station.
But for members of the court, Dale gives us this information because it may be a case of where they run out of something, and because we're a dry area, we can ship it to them or obtain it and ship it to them. So the court may be asked from time to time to approve some emergency funding, which should get repaid through FEMA. But even if it doesn't, if they need it, we generally help. I hope we continue. Thank you, Dale. Number 3, acknowledge August Impact of the Month honoree Elizabeth Lopez from the Law Library. And this requires a 5-minute speech. Wait a minute, she's giving it back, so. Come on.
It's a school song too, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Randy.
So this month, our honoree was Elizabeth Lopez from the Law Library, and Sarah from the Treasurer's Office is the one who nominated her, so she's going to come up here and read her nomination.
Good.
Okay, this is my nomination for Elizabeth. I said, Elizabeth displays the values of Midland County every day. She performs the duties of her job without complaint and serves each patron with respect. She deals with citizens who are needing forms printed, notarized, and directions on next steps. She handles all the questions she receives with grace, even though she must be diligent to not overstep by giving legal advice. I have seen her ask the right questions so the patrons get the answers they need and the service they require, while also being patient with them as they expound on their personal dilemmas. She is also respectful and kind to those who treat her with disrespect, rather than responding in anger. She is bilingual and will help translate for patrons when she is legally allowed. She has compassion for all people, and even though she works alone in her department, she is a team player with all employees of the county. She performs the duties of her job with integrity, making sure all patrons are served properly and that the law library is maintained in a clean and organized manner. Even though she does not have someone directly supervising her every day, she is mostly accountable to herself that the required tasks are taken care of each day, and she puts her full effort into her job. She helps attorneys with the legal resources they need and has even sacrificed her time and energy to prepare resources before the attorney arrives so that he or she can save time and just pick up what they need. The main reason I am nominating her, though, is because every other week when I sit in her office, For 30 to 45 minutes, she gives me her personal work chair and sits in one of the library's more uncomfortable chairs herself. She puts forth every effort to make me feel comfortable and appreciated. She goes above and beyond to give to give up what is rightfully hers to serve me while I am there. If she just did that for me, it would be one thing, but I've also seen her give this preference to an intern that worked a few weeks with her, so I know I'm not the only one she gives her own chair to. This selfless act is descriptive of her character and what makes her a valuable employee of Midland County and deserving of recognition.
Time to sing the school song.
Awesome.
Would you like to say anything?
I wasn't prepared for 5-minute speech or a 30-second one. All I can say is I'm the one that's honored to be working for the county. And Miss Sarah, she's a sweetheart. She really is. The treasurer is lucky to have her. I got to give kudos to Mr. T. I mean, he brings out the best in all of his employees.
gosh.
I mean, I just got to say it, Mr. T, he's totally awesome. Yeah, I just got to tell him that. And thank you to commissioners, everybody, and my patrons. My patrons. So just thank you so much. And I'm so very blessed and honored. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To commemorate this day, we have a special recording of the things that have been said about you, and we have special box of goodies, and I know you've received some other stuff and
Yes,
some
sir.
meals and things like
Thank
that.
you so very
And
much.
also, this coin is really neat. I put it in a place where I see mine every day, and it's really, you exemplify the best in what service is about to the customer and in Midland. So thank you very much, and thank you for such gracious words.
Yes, thank you.
That was very nice to be so encouraging like
She's
that.
deserving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, Randy. Wow. Number 4, discuss take action on court minutes from August 14th and 24th of 2017.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And because of a court schedule, we're going to skip down and do 19 right now. Judge Cobos has to get back for court. 19, discuss take action on license agreement for iTicket Icon interface. You may remember this was on the court last time. Seems like not everybody was in the loop, so we undid it, and here we are again.
David Cobos, Justice of Peace Precinct 2. You did approve this last Commissioner's Court. I wasn't in the loop on it, and I wanted to make sure, since it's coming out of the court technology funds, what it was about. And what it's about is for all of our iTicket downloads from DPS, and now we will include the CopSync interface that Constable Hall has and the Sheriff has. And we're going to work with the Sheriff and buy some equipment out of court technology to get them doing iTickets. So this encompasses not just Constable Precinct 4. It's Midland County for all of our downloads of our traffic citations.
Okay,
And move approval of it.
okay. Any questions of the judge, or is there a motion? Since it's his fund it's coming out of, this time he knows.
Court technology, yes.
Did you say we've already approved this, but we hadn't funded it, or what's the situation?
No, we approved it, and then we undid it.
Oh.
We vacated the motion because Judge Cobos called me after court and said, "What is this? I don't know anything about it." And since it's his fund, I thought he might need to be here, and here he is.
Okay.
Good with it.
And the only difference in the presentation is, one, he's here, he controls that fund, and secondly, that the way he's offering it is to offer it countywide, Sheriff's Office, all the JPs, constables, and so forth.
Correct.
Okay?
That's correct.
So it does take a new motion to get it done.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I'll leave the contract with Russell.
Yes, sir. That'd be fine. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back to number 5. Discuss, take action on Summer Star Acres being 8 acres tract located Section 1, Block 42, Township 4, ST&P Railroad Survey, Midland County, Texas. Huh?
I don't think Landgraf, Fletcher and Associates is here.
Okay, this is an approval for the plat. There's no mention or comment about the roadways, so this action will be for accepting the plat in the county, not the roadways. That has to come on the second hearing.
Judge, whose precinct is this on?
It's Scott's precinct.
One,
One?
yeah.
Do you have any reservations, Scott, or any
It's
questions?
been looked over by Felipe and Dell, and they think it's fine.
And you're in agreement with the statement about the roads?
I am.
Okay. So based on that, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 6, discuss take action on Sela Vista number 3, being a plat of a 117.48 acres out of APVZ Survey 4, Block 37, Township 2 South, T&P Railroad Survey, Midland County, Texas. This is in Commissioner Donnelly's precinct. Go ahead. Didn't even know you got here.
Sir.
Good.
Ben Sanchez, Schumann Engineering, 408 North Pecos. I'm here to answer any questions, Judge. So the roads, we are in the design process now, and so we're going to design them and build them to Midland County standards.
Okay, so again, this is for the platting of the acreage to be sold. It does not include any roadways. Commissioner Donnelly did leave a note on this exactly as I said it, so.
On his behalf, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I have a question before Ben
Yes,
leaves.
sir.
Ben, right here it says Cielo Vista 3. The other two, have they been developed? Or do you know where we're at on that?
I
Do you happen to
believe,
know?
yes, I believe both 1 and 2 have been developed or in the process of, I think they're still selling homes for those tracks. But I believe the roadways are already in place for those 2 plats.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Pardon me. Number 7, discuss take action on Westfall Landing, Section 2, being a plat of 7.63 acres out of 129.21 acres out of the west half of Section 47, Block 37, Township 1 South, T&P Railroad Survey, Midland County, Texas. And Ben, it says we only have 1 Mylar of this, so we can't act. The court requires 2.
Absolutely, yes, sir, and we're okay with deferring to the next Commissioners Court.
So, waiting on the additional information, I suggest that the court agrees that we table this one. Is there agreement on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, Ben, if you'll get that, we'll get it rescheduled, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. Number 9, discuss and take action on library donations. Mr. Trichetti.
Skip date.
You should have back up all material, no monetary.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion passes. Thank you, John.
Skip 8 on purpose.
Well, 8 can't happen till 11 o'clock. So, all right. Number 10, discuss take action transferring funds from hot check fee account to hot check restitution account. Ms. Noda?
Yes, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Back in 2005 and 2006, there were some deposits that were made into our hot check account that were not correct. And so when Veronica did our audit that she presented to the last court, we need to do some reconciliation just to clear that out. So we just would like approval to move those funds so that we can clear out the mistakes that occurred back in 2005.
Any discussions, questions?
Laura, the amount is 3118, is that correct?
$31.18, correct.
Does that need to come out of contingency, or is there a specific?
And no, it's
account?
coming out of my fee account, hot check fee account. to
Oh, I
my
see it
hot
now.
check restitution account.
I'll make that motion that we transfer the 3118 from the hot check fee account to the hot check restitution account as requested by the district attorney.
Okay,
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 11, discuss take action on additional funds for Child Protection Court. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge Bradford. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Marisol Montes. I am Judge Chavez's court coordinator, and I'm here to answer any questions that you all might have on her behalf.
And in this, Judge Chavez had called me and said she thought it was going to run over. She didn't have the exact numbers at that time, but it's certainly more than we both anticipated. Court-appointed attorney, she needs another $16,000, and then other items in the courtroom means $22,000
Yes, sir, that's correct.
to finish out the budget year, correct?
Yes, sir, we're hoping that is it.
Marisol, do you know if this, if we approve this, will this be reflective of the 2018, or is that something that we'll have to go back and look at? Are you guys seeing an increase in the court-appointed attorneys?
Yes, sir, we are. We try to keep it to a minimal, to just appointing the attorneys needed, but as the cases move forward, attorneys need to be appointed to
Right.
all parties.
Do you know if that's reflective of the, I don't know if you work with Judge Chavez on that?
Yes, sir, I
Okay.
do.
You did, okay. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the additional funds, the $22,000 as requested by Judge Chavez,
Okay.
out of contingency.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Marisol.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marisol.
Number 12, discuss take action on additional funds for postage for the district clerk's office. Ross,
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
how are you?
As always, when we figure out the budget for the upcoming year, we try to add a little extra for postage, but the cases that keep coming into Midland County, you can't predict all of them. So with the e-filing and having to mail out of documents, we're asking the court to let me have $5,775 to put in our postage so that we continue mailing out documents required by law.
Ross, you think that gets you through the end of the year?
Yes, sir, I padded this one a little bit just to
Okay.
keep us on the safe side.
Okay. An admitted patter. Huh?
Admitted patter on postage, yes, sir.
Is there a discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 13.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Discuss take action on out-of-state travel for Del Seago to attend the Advanced Law Enforcement Readiness Training, Reno, Nevada, October 31st through November 2nd, 2017. Now, gentlemen, take a look. That is for next year's budget, but we need to do it now so they can get the registrations.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And thank you. Okay. Number 14, discuss take action on travel reimbursement for Monica Lancaster with the 441st District Court. Monica is not here.
They have a trial starting.
Okay, what I know about this is she was going to this seminar at the request of Judge Satterwhite, and she got ready to go, and didn't realize, missed, don't know what the action was, but did not come to court for out-of-state travel. And she has submitted her expense account. Judge Satterwhite does indeed confirm he wanted her to go. So this is more of a ratification if the court approves it, or you can table it to next time and she can come.
Judge, was this already budgeted, do you know?
I don't know. I've told you everything I know about it right now. The amount is 2263.63, continuing ed, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Veronica,
There are sufficient funds in their line to cover the cost.
with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, the motion, if I may ask you, it's to ratify because this event's already happened.
Yes, sir, and the expense report in your bills today, you so choose to approve this.
I'll make a motion that we approve it,
Ratify it, please.
ratify it,
Okay,
as stated, and coming out of the budget that's already been requested, right? And there's money in there?
okay.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. 15, acknowledge summary of all collections for the tax office. Karen?
Morning.
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 Have this year's as well as last year's comparison on the collections.
Awesome, thank you for that.
You're very welcome, sir.
Motion to acknowledge.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You bet. Sixteen, discuss take action on appointment of election judges, early voting ballot board, and central count personnel for 2-year period beginning September 1st, 2017. Good morning.
Morning, Court.
Good morning.
Morning.
Y'all have before you the list prepared and given to me by the Democratic and Republican Party chairs for those various offices.
So with that, it's your assurance from them, by submitting their names, all these people have agreed to show up.
Yes, sir. They are supposed to have contacted them, and these folks have agreed to do that. Although I was just informed by Mr. Rosen that one of his judges has since moved since he gave me this list.
Okay.
So,
So he'll supply you
not-
with the new name.
yes.
Okay? So recognizing that there will be a new submittal from Mr. Rosen on the Democratic ticket sometime that we'll handle separately from this action.
So do we approve this now and then it'll be amended later, or do you want us to hold it? Okay.
I'm sorry, David, what'd you say?
I would like to hold this before, until I speak about it.
If you want to speak about it, you're free to do so now. You're speaking on behalf of the Democratic Party at this time.
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, my name is David Rosen. I'm the Midland County Democratic Chairman, and I'd like to speak on behalf of this list. We love working with the elections administrator. She is a pleasure to work with, and everyone in her office has been wonderful. I know that each party chair recommends various judges, but there is a judge on the Republican list whom we have submitted complaints to the election division of the Secretary of State's office, and we wish to have that person removed from the Republican list.
Okay, you submitted complaints. The party is free to submit who they wish in exceptions where the state intervenes. And have you heard from the state on your complaint?
Yes, we did hear back from the state, and they acknowledged the complaint, but they did not want to press charges at that time on that election judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rosen raises a valid point, and I would recommend to the court that we hold all of this till this issue is resolved and that we get your substitute judge.
Well, that's a judge on the Republican side.
I understand, but if I heard you clearly, you have one that's moved in the Democratic side, and they need to be replaced.
Yes.
Okay, so.
How long will it take to resolve the issue?
I don't know, sir.
What happens if it's not resolved?
Well, the court still makes the appointment one way or another, but Mr. Rosen is offering a complaint from the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is not here to give us information, so I suggest that we get both sides of it before we act on anything.
David, have you reached out to the Republican Party about your request?
No, I reached out to the elections administrator, and she felt like this was who the Republicans had submitted, so she didn't know that she had a choice about what to do, I guess.
Gentlemen, I did submit copies of the letters obtained from the Secretary of State's office. We got communication regarding the 2 complaints on this judge, as did, I believe, Mr. Rosen's office. I did provide those to Mr. Beecham. His comment was that he still wanted to appoint this judge.
Okay?
We were not, in the letters, we were not instructed to not reappoint this judge or to not permit him to be reappointed. So that was Mr. Beecham's
Okay?
call to me.
All right, so we got a lot more information now. The Republican chair says they still want this person.
Yes, sir.
The Democratic chair objects to him. The state got involved on the complaint, but did not issue an extraction.
Right. They acknowledged the complaint, said that there was no malfeasance done, anything to bring charges against this judge.
Okay, so then that puts us back with the court's agreement in a discussion to approve the list. And when Mr. Rosen substitutes that person for the moved party, then that would come to court and be agendized separately so that they would be in the court minutes.
I think it would be wise for us to receive some of this information. This is the first that I hear of it. I have no idea who you're talking about. I have no idea what the complaints are. And I have no clue and I understand that he's spoken to you, but I'd like to have something written for us to make any type of decision right now. Because again, it's blindly accepting whatever with whoever, because I have no clue what this is about. So I would request that the court continue to hold it until we receive more information, because as of now, I mean, there's really not enough information on whether to approve or not approve. So that would be my recommendation.
Is there any possibility of any further action against this from the state? Have they said anything about that?
Not as far as I could tell, or information that I got from the Elections Division. They sent those letters, and that was the end of the thing, that there would be no further action on their end.
No.
So I can provide the court with copies of those in executive. I would not like to have that name out there.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Do you have them with you?
No, sir, I
Today?
don't. I can get someone from my office, email them over.
Okay.
Well, actually, these appointments are supposed to begin September 1st.
Yeah, today.
So,
Go
and I-
ahead, Laura.
yes.
You have a question?
I can recommend or announce to the court that the Elections Division has not submitted any criminal complaints against any election judge here in Midland County, and that if said complaint would have been submitted, it would have had to come through me for prosecution, but there have been no such complaints made.
Okay, so where we are, still the same 2 options, but we've had a request from one of the court members that we hold this. So let's deal with the request by Mr. Sanchez first. Is there a second to hold this?
Since it's due September 1,
We have to do it today. This isn't volleyball.
How do we hold it if we?
We can hold it pending today's executive session where she can raise it. Russell?
The court could continue the meeting tomorrow and address this tomorrow if we don't have to do it today. I'm not sure which executive session item would fit under. It wouldn't be personnel.
Would not be. Okay, then it
Could be potential litigation, I guess, wouldn't it?
If litigation against the county? Yeah, I'm not, and again, this is the first I've heard of any of this, so I'm not aware of any potential litigation involving the county.
Well, can at least the letters be brought to us so we can read what it's about? I'd hate to make a decision not knowing what I'm making a decision on. That's the thing. I mean, we don't have any information. I wouldn't be able to vote for it or against it because I have no clue what I'm voting for. So this is the first that I hear of it. It's pretty important what we're talking about. And if there's been some complaints regarding people who are going to be in charge of such an important task, which is being at the central counting station, I mean, I want to know what the problem is. What are those complaints about? And what did those complaints say? It seems to me like this is a pretty important task when it comes to elections in Midland County. So before we can move forward, I'd like to know what it's about,
Okay.
if possible.
Based on the county attorney telling us that it does not fit in executive session, then we've still got the same two options. We can table this and get the information sent to you, Deborah, and you can distribute it to the court, and we can come back to this item later today in open session. Because the one thing, she is absolutely unequivocally correct. It's got to be approved today or tomorrow. So
I won't have any problem getting the information back to the court, perhaps before the end of this session.
Okay, well,
And I can
when you
have
say to
someone.
court, it needs to come from Deborah. She is the election administrator.
So you can have it here before session today?
Yes, I'll step out and have my assistant
That would be
email that.
very much
Okay.
appreciated.
And if you place a call to the Republican chair and tell them where we are, they may have additional information that none of us have, and they'll have time to supply it. So with that, will the court agree to table this till later today?
Yes.
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 Okay, so we're tabled.
Deborah, I'm sorry, I want to echo something that Judge Bradford just mentioned. Is there any way that we can call the Republican chair so that way they're aware of what's going on? I'd hate to just have one side here. That way if they have any other information or whatever the case may be, I just want to make sure that
believe
we're
we
as fair as possible.
I believe all parties were sent the same communication.
Okay, that sounds fair.
And again, I also provided copies of those to Mr. Beecham as well, just in case he could not lay hands on those. In my communication with him, I did say that we were uncomfortable with this gentleman being appointed as a judge, and he wanted those copies, so I gave them to him, and he still felt like he wanted to appoint him.
Sounds fair.
Okay?
As long as you let them know, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then that moves us to 17. Discuss take action on election software. Deborah?
Okay, gentlemen, you have before you two agreements from Election Systems and Software. One is for the license maintenance. The other one is for software licensing service. We've entered into these since we've had this equipment, the Avotronics. I did provide these to the county attorney, and Mr. Malm had some changes he wanted made to the contract, which they agreed to, and they resubmitted it, and Mr. Malm was fine with the way it was changed, so.
Okay, Russell, I'm assuming that's the copy I have is your changed copy? Don't know? You want to take a look at it? Okay.
I believe that was, I think you forwarded the change.
Yes.
I'll take a
Yes.
look before you sign it.
Okay, and the second person, Mr. Atkins, is he here? Just, yeah. You have any comment on this software? Have you had any issues with it? Does it run on the system okay? Does it require us to buy additional equipment? Morning.
Yes, it's what we've been using, so I don't have any issues at all.
Okay, thank you. All right. Go ahead, Deborah. You through?
Yes, sir. I did when I did talk to them earlier in the summer, right now, all of the vendors are doing a big push because they know everybody's equipment is 10 years approximately old. So people that have the electronic equipment are now starting to put feelers out and visit with vendors. They know that. I have not had any issues with ES&S at all. I have made it very plain to them that I do not wish to be looking at someone else. They have agreed to keep the cost for all the years of this contract the same as it has been for the last 3 years. So there has been no increase in the price of these maintenance contracts for at least 3 years, and anticipate 3 or 4 more, the same price. So
Are you sure the software complies with all of the legislative action in this session and special session that may affect elections?
they update the software, and every time we do an election, part of the jar file, the election file that we install on the Avotronics is all of the updates from ES&S that is required, and VOTEC that is required.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Any other questions of Deborah?
Make a motion to approve the extension of the current election software.
And that's subject to Russell's approval of the contract?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Deborah. If you'll get a hold of James and let me know, we'll pull it back up as soon as you have the information. 18, discuss take action on Texas A&M Forest Service agreement. This is an agreement they signed with us for space at the annex, right, Daryl? Daryl, dang it.
I've been called worse this morning so far.
Daryl and your brother, Daryl. There you go.
Jeff Miner wanted to be here this morning to discuss this with you, which everything in here he agrees with and everything's all right. But Jeff is not enjoying the seaside down at Texas City and has been since last Thursday. And he'll be there for at least another week at that Emergency Operations Center.
Okay, has Russell seen this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you and Russell both have a copy of it?
Yeah, it says do not sign in bold red letters.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it, I just sent it over.
Well, we can approve it, but it says do not sign.
Jeff was going to get a signed copy sent, but that was, I spoke to him just as people were starting to get sent down there, so.
That was the copy he just sent me. I think Jeff might be a little bit flustered down at Texas.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be out of pocket for about 90 days, looks like. So,
He should be back home by next week.
I've got a do not sign copy.
We have a signed copy of that.
All right.
It was laying on Russell's desk.
For the record, I'm not the one that laid it on my desk.
No, sir, I laid it on there.
All right.
It wasn't Jeff was flustered, I guess it was me.
Were there any changes on the contract?
No. It was the same as in the past, except I think the only difference was it was changed from a 2-year to a 5-year, but it still has a 30, I believe it's a 30-day termination.
Right, okay. Yeah, I see the 30-day.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a discussion or a motion?
Motion approved.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Thanks, Russell.
Motion
Thanks, Dale.
passes. Thank y'all. Yeah. And Jeff said he'd be home for about 2 days and then go again, so.
Right.
All right, item 20, discuss take action on additional funds for detention inmate food supplies. Sheriff, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're going to run a little short, and we're needing additional funds for the inmate food. And we're asking for $52,209.84 to finish out the year.
Okay, that would be a contingency item.
We are, the reason for that is we're running very high on our numbers and more than we anticipated for the food. And we are, well, this morning we had 495. And we're, again, on the verge of having to ship inmates. So just to forewarn you, let you know that when it happens, we'll be shipping them as fast as we can to get the population dropped down. But right now, we're needing this to get us to the end of the year.
Sheriff, a question on your shipping. Is the state picking them up within their time frame?
10 to 45 days. They're doing less than 45, yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, $52,210 is the request for food for the jail.
Well, I left out, I can leave out the 84 cents, okay? 210, okay.
$52,210.84. Okay. Okay,
Veronica, is that after the other decisions we've already made this morning?
No, that is before.
Do you remember about how many dollars we've already approved this morning?
About 5 or 6.
There's about another 30,000 that you've already approved, so.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve this request.
Okay.
Sheriff, for moving 52, what's the number? 52,210 from contingency to detention inmate food supplies.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Sheriff. 21, discuss take action on donation from Rick and Stacy Backus to Midland County Sheriff's Office, CIU, in the amount of $100.
This is a donation of $100 from the Backus family for CIU volunteer supplies.
Okay?
We ask her through approval.
All right, as usual, Sheriff, you'll take care of the thank yous, right?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. 22, discuss take action on interlocal agreement for fiscal year 2016 JAG award between Midland County and the city of Midland. Sheriff?
This is something we do every year. This money is already dedicated for the tactical team support and training. And it's $12,076, $12,076. And again, it's one that we do annually with the city of Midland. It's a joint program.
Sheriff, I've got a question here. It says here on section 1, it talks about the 12,076, but then on section 2, there's a different amount. There's 12,366. Is that a typo, or where is the rest of that money coming from? It's a difference of about $250 or so.
I would say that the 12076 is the correct number. Is that right?
I believe so, Sheriff.
Yeah.
So do we need to amend that on section 2 where it reads 12,076 and strike out the 12,366?
I think we need to correct the, it's right there, and then that.
Yeah, it probably needs to be changed, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'll make a motion that we sign this interlocal agreement for fiscal year 2016 JAG award between Midland County and the city of Midland for the amount of $12,076.
12,076 or?
Yeah, $12,076.
Okay. All right. You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign.
And Judge, that will also require the county attorney's signature as well.
Yes, sir. Okay. 23, discuss take action on application for participation of the 1033 program. Sheriff?
Again, it's the 1033 program is a military surplus that we've used for several years. They do have some equipment on different options that we can take and use, and then some of it we can give back, or others that we can keep it and use it at will within the county family. And we've been very successful with it, and had a lot of good use out of the equipment. Would appreciate your authorizing the judge to sign to keep us in the 1033 program in case something comes up, that we can use it right away.
What types of equipment?
Anything that the military has.
Such, I mean, stuff that you've used, such as?
Well, in the past, we've used 2 armored personnel carriers, and now Obama stole them and took them back, and now we have a, what's that thing called? It's a big truck, MRAP. That is it's an 86,000 pound vehicle that'll withstand any kind of an IED. And we use that quite a bit. It's protection for our tactical team when they go into a situation. It'll stop anything up to and including the 50 caliber. So we feel very safe.
We made use of these not only locally for sieges, particularly one in Odessa in the last year and a half. But we've loaned it out to the state a couple of times on incidents out here.
We've been to several incidents with when the Rangers are involved. They had a riot at a prison over in Pecos. We showed up, running up and down the fence a couple of times, and then they decided to settle the deal. So we felt pretty good about it.
I'll make the motion that we approve this application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Sheriff, thank you. Let's do 24, discuss take action on administrative leave for the sheriff's office, but you indicate you want an executive session.
Yes, sir,
on
please.
that. That's one individual, is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? Okay, executive session. 25, discuss take action on additional funds for shower system in detention. Which part of detention?
I'm sorry?
Which part of detention?
Well, whenever they first get booked in, primarily, this is a showering system that has a lice killer and a MRSA killer. It's not pesticides, but it is something that's normal in the system that has bleach, and you spend thousands of dollars trying to get the lice out of the jail, and it goes from one to the other, and it'll infiltrate the entire system. If we can get this stopped in the beginning when they first come in, rather than letting them get into a section where you have other inmates and having it infest the entire system, we need to get it stopped at the beginning, and that's when we get them into the booking area and bring them in, get everybody, make sure they take a shower, and whenever they use that shower, this will be automatically sprayed down onto them, and it'll kill anything that they've got and be safely put into the system. We have had several outbreaks, and it costs a lot of money and a lot of time to get these people showered and get the lice killed, and it's a mess, absolute mess.
You say several. I mean, this year, last year, 5,
We've
10
had,
years?
I don't know what we've had this year. We've had 2 or 3 outbreaks this year. There are people that we pick up off the street that absolutely will not shower. There are people that live in homes that don't shower, they don't take care of their head, and they have lice when they come in. They don't notice it in the booking area. They get into a housing area, and all of a sudden there's an outbreak. People start itching and they start complaining. We go to send them to the nurses, and they find the little critters crawling around on them, and we have to break down, and we start showering everybody and put special medication on them, and then we have to clean all the mattresses, the blankets, wash the blankets 2 or 3, 4 times a week, get rid of their clothes, it's terrible, and we'd rather start at the beginning.
What about the staff?
It will affect the staff if they let it, but.
No, I mean, as far as any kind of outbreaks of staff in the jail?
No, we've been very fortunate with that, but they are susceptible to it, yes. And this will be a protection for our staff.
Sheriff, where's this going to be located?
It'll be in the booking area. We have two showers in there for inmates whenever they get booked.
Yes, sir.
If you'll remember, we had it set up for the windows to open up in the property room,
Correct?
and those showers are the ones we're going to be using.
Okay, so you can bring it in and set it inside what you've got now.
That is correct.
Gary, who in your department has done the reference checking? I see a long list of references here. Who have we talked to make sure this works?
I don't know exactly who they talked to, but they made some calls on it, and that it has been very effective. The deal is, how do you know that it's effective, is that you don't have any outbreaks. And once these people have put the stuff in where they've had outbreaks in the past, then they have none after that.
I read the testimonials, and they're really good. What, do we have monies left over in the capital accounts for the jail that?
Well, we have jail bond money, just a little bit left that we can use to do this if we choose. Correct?
Correct, we do.
Yeah.
And how much do we have there, Veronica?
I'm checking just.
And Gary, can you refresh me? I'm sitting here looking, what's the total amount?
Total amount $7,050.27.
Total amount's 14,100.
27 cents.
And I'll make the motion to approve it, subject, coming out of the capital account first.
648,000 in that.
Yeah, it's in the jail bond.
To come out of the capital account for the jail. Tell me again, Gary, the number?
$14,100.
14,100.
14,000.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Did I miss something, Sheriff?
Are there two of them? Is that the reason that there's double?
Are they scratching their head right now?
Yeah.
I've got 7,050. What is the number?
It's 14,001.
It's on this front sheet, Judge.
Yes, sir, I see that, but in my packet, I got, okay, whatever the number is, the commissioners have said 14.
I know, I'm starting to itch just thinking about it.
It says here that it's a 8 to 5 gallon light shampoo, 8 to 5 gallon staff shampoo, and then 2 shower systems complete. The total is 14,100.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's your motion, Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Prude?
That's
From
my
the jail
second.
bond, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And your second's from the
That's-
jail bond, is that
that's correct.
correct? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion passes. Sheriff, do you know if there's any license or plumbing requirements with this, or is it just a complete set-in unit?
It's a unit that you have in the stuff there that you have, it shows it's stuff coming out of the bucket up to the shower.
Yes,
It's
sir.
automatic. It'll just automatically
Yeah, no, I'm
feed.
talking about the drain system.
The drain system will not have any effect on it.
Okay, so you don't need a plumber or anything?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. All right.
One last question for whoever designed this. What, the one time that we had that scare and that everybody had to go out and shower?
Yes, sir.
Would this also, could be either converted or added to in case we ever had a situation like that again? Or is this not really?
Talking about in the jail?
Well,
No.
no, just in case we had a letter sent with funny powder in it or stuff like that. Does this clean anything other than the staff and the lice?
As far as I know, it's just staff and lice.
Okay, just curious.
And there is the beauty part of this is there's no follow-up. In the past, we've had to have follow-up in 7 days. We've
Yes.
had to retreat everybody again.
Yes.
Keep track of everybody, the movements, and come back and make sure they get that second follow-up. Pregnant women, we couldn't touch them because of the pesticides in them. This is, I can shower everybody out in this.
This is a great idea. Glad y'all found it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. All right, Christie, 26, discuss take action on purchase AC platform for Horseshoe.
Yes, sir. This is a platform that 2 AC units will sit on, and Tim says that we really need these to get the AC units off the ground and away from the dirt so that we won't have so much maintenance issues with them. It was
Okay,
not a
you're-
budgeted item, but they have the money to purchase.
Money's in the system,
Yes, from Bill Kelly Welding.
okay?
Just out of curiosity, what physically, how does that work? How far up the ground do they set it, and do they change the location?
We're going to raise them 8 feet in the air. These 2 units sit where building A and B meet on the north side of A and on the west side of B. In the corner, there's 2 small condensing units.
Right.
And that area always gets an enormous amount of dirt and sand from either one of the buildings because they're both dirt floors. And we've been having to clean them about every 3 months just to keep them working. We had one go out and it's non-repairable because of all the dirt.
Right.
So what we're going to do is raise them 8 foot in the air, build a platform big enough for them to be worked on if they need to be, and that'll keep the dirt from getting to them so much.
You said north side of A and west side of B?
Yes.
Is that where all the,
Yes, west side.
is that where all the temporary stables are?
Yes. That's
In
it.
that
It's-
where-
It's in that corner right there.
Okay.
If you go there, you'll see 2 small condensing units. Well, one's
Right.
a 5-ton and one's a 3-ton, and they feed the green room in B and the office in B.
Green room and, okay, I see.
And the one that feeds the green room is out right now. We're waiting for replacement on it because it just, it sprung so many leaks we can't patch them.
And which fund from the Horseshoe does this come from?
We're taking it out of.
It'll be it's a capital outlay item.
Okay, I make a motion to approve this repair.
Okay.
One more thing while we're talking about the Horseshoe, well, I'll let you vote on it first. It has nothing to do with that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Tim, go ahead.
Commissioner Prude, you wanted to know when the bird buffer was in service?
Yes.
It's been in service about 3.5 weeks now.
Yes?
And it's an enormous success.
Wow,
Yay.
very good,
So come out and I'll show you.
very good.
In fact, didn't you tell us, or told somebody, you were going to request a couple of additionals for other properties?
Right, they're working so well that in next year's budget, I'm gonna buy 2 more and add them in. Yeah, they're working quite well.
Good.
Amazing.
That would be a good item for the media to follow up on because that a lot of people in Midland could use that kind of service to keep the damages from happening from the birds.
Do we have those at the library?
Not yet.
Okay. Just checking.
I think there's gonna be a request, isn't
Need to-
If that's a request, then we'll see.
Let's look into it.
Okay. Item 27, discuss take action on awarding RFP 17 MCO 525 oil and gas lease, Midland County. Mr. Ramsey handled this on behalf of the court and has completed the analysis, right?
Yes.
Anything you want to say, Scott?
I just would suggest that we approve this subject to the execution of a mutually agreeable oil and gas lease form.
Okay. And
What was the royalty on these, Scott?
Quarter,
Okay,
5%, 3 years?
all right.
is it 3 years with a 2-year option?
No.
3 years.
It's 3 years.
Did you look at that shut-in clause that it's not $1 a year payable to hold it, that it's market rate?
Yes.
Okay.
Total consideration for all this would be a little over $281,000.
Okay.
Are you making a motion to approve it, Scott?
Yes.
How many acres is it? I'm sorry.
We've got about 20, just right around 25, 26 acres.
25, 26. Okay, thank you.
Did you make a motion? I'll make
Yes.
a second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Scott and Christie.
Mainly Christie.
28, discuss take action on purchase of county website. Mike?
Good morning.
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 This is in response to a request from Commissioner Donnelly and several other people. It's to completely replace the main county website. What we have today has been in place for a number of years, and it works, but it's a little dated. It's lacking some features. I sought out 3 different companies. At least we started with 3 different companies that focus on government websites. Pared that down to 2. At that point, kind of formed a little mini committee and had people come in from various departments and demo the 2 different platforms, collected feedback and responses, and the majority vote was the one I'm bringing to you today, called Civic Plus. It is a hosted site. It's something that we would move the county website out of this building to their platform. we're able to back it up and archive it here if necessary. I just wanted to point that out, but that seems to be pretty common with all of these people now. But it pretty much takes what we have today and modernizes it. As you can see from their brochure, they have a very flashy sales pitch. But everyone was pretty impressed with their ability to edit their own web pages like they do today, but it seems to work a whole lot better. The advantage of using companies like these two is they're going to bring in their expertise because they're in hundreds, if not thousands, of governments throughout the country. So they're going to tell us what works, what doesn't work. They're going to make recommendations on how to organize the content and so on. These guys initially started at over $47,000. The next contender was about half that in the 20s. So we made a couple of changes. Initially, these guys wanted to come on site to do everything, but we trimmed that out in favor of just doing everything over the web. I also told them that they were just simply too expensive because they had such a narrow margin of popularity on the voting side here. So they actually came back and they added a couple of different modules. They added the advanced editing module, which gives us even more flexibility in how the employees here can maintain their own content. And they gave us a module that lets each department customize the header and the background of their site. So today, when you're visiting the county webpage and you jump, say, from the home page to the sheriff's office to the library, that very top piece is consistent. We'll be able to enforce some consistency or the level of consistency we want, but each department can tailor their own site to match their division. So the SO, for instance, could maybe have the seal in a patrol car. The library can, they're pretty good about their content. They'll probably change, what their site looks like. But I think at the price they've come back at, along with all the recommendations and the feedback I've got good feedback from the city. They use the same product. And, the city will complain about anything. So I think if they're happy with it, then I think that's a pretty positive sign. But they're, almost $1,000 less than the next guy up. So it's my recommendation that we move forward with these guys. We've got some money left over in our software line that we could take and allocate towards this. Or we could push it to next year.
It says 24,900,
Yes, sir.
and then annual hosting is 4,750,
Yes, sir.
and we would be, I don't think we're interested in an alternate payment plan, but this is a 2-year agreement, 1-year agreement?
It will be indefinitely. I think it's a 1 year. I didn't recall seeing any terms. I think it would be 1 year at a minimum.
Well, they're talking about their hosting. It says 2-year and beyond, but we've got to have the get out provision in the contract.
Okay.
Right, Russell? Yes, sir. Okay. So you're saying you've got 24,900 in software savings to do that with?
Yes, sir.
Mike, is this going to include this, the citizen request tracker? So everything that's on here is going to be available for that amount?
Correct.
Everything that's listed?
The only thing that is not in the proposal is something we will not use, which is their video streaming service.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Wow.
When you put something in where everybody can design their own page, are you going to give us all a set of guidelines so that we at least have the same content as to personnel and who the personnel, their function is or anything like that?
So what I envision is we'll follow more or less what we're doing today, which is we'll control a certain portion of the overall site. We'll control, say, the top layer navigation, the footer. We can restrict, what fonts are available, what colors are available. And in the training, we'll probably suggest, at least consistency throughout their own division.
And if somebody went wild in some other office and put something inappropriate, is there a key that rings your phone or anything?
Well, we can implement workflow if we need to, so that supervisors can approve content before it's published. There is tracking and auditing as to who made what changes, and then we can roll back content if necessary.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Atkins?
I'll make a motion that we purchase the county website, product. I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
what's it called again?
Civic Plus.
Civic Plus.
Should we include pending Russell's approval of a revised agreement?
Yeah.
Pending Russell's approval of the revised agreement.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 29, discuss take action on fleet accidents. There's no report. Dwayne has been summoned to Victoria. And 30, take action acknowledging personnel memorandum.
I have the payroll change summary in front of you. Like to call your attention to the very bottom, under other, the PTI classes that are paid for, they're paid for out of the DA's discretionary funds. The overtime in the juvenile detention division is paid for with state funds. I notated on this summary if there was anything above policy on there, like I've been asked to. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
Okay.
Can you tell me what PCN and fund mean? What is the PCF? That's the first time I've seen that.
A PCN number is just the number in our payroll system that points to a position. It's just a position. I believe the juvenile department needed to change the actual fund that a couple of their folks were being paid from.
Say that again, they had to change what again?
The fund that a employee was paid from. They've got some employees that are paid completely by state money, some that are paid by both, some that are all general fund. They had a couple that they needed to fix,
Thank you.
from what I understand.
Okay.
Motion to acknowledge.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Don't leave, because you and I are going to do the next one.
Okay.
31, discuss the requirements for COBRA notices, and this is COBRA insurance from the county. Mr. Gowan and Stacy were due here, but they're waterlogged and housed in Houston, cannot get here. So essentially, Madam Treasurer, it says that we're still offered on the same basis as before. The person covered can only be those that are covered under the plan previously.
Yes, sir.
And you have to notify that you want this coverage within 60 days. Otherwise, the county declines it on your behalf. Is that right?
Yes, sir. The reason this is coming to court is in your backup, I think you've got 3 different attachments. The first attachment you see, I've marked on it pages 1 through 5. The very first page is the COBRA notice that we're currently providing employees as soon as they're hired, and as soon as they're terminated, they get this same notice.
Okay.
If you'll keep going to pages 2 through 4, and then page 5, these are the notices that need to be provided. We became aware of a different initial notice that needed to be provided to all employees. And then page 5 is a qualifying event notice, and we became aware of more instances where this needs to be provided. To try to explain that to you, if you'll go to your 3rd attachment, the top of the page says COBRA notice requirements. It's a long list. Stacy and Matthew Gowan sent me of when these COBRA notices are required. We always thought when somebody, when an employee terminated, of course, they got a COBRA notice where we told them the prices of COBRA, this is how many days you've got to sign up, this is when you need to pay, all that kind of thing. We found out that if an employee is covering their dependents, you have to mail them a notice to their home separately. We're not aware of that. If you'll read down through these COBRA notice requirements, not only are we required to give a new hire their initial COBRA notice, but there's lots of events that trigger them getting a qualifying event notice. Termination of employment, you send to the employee and the dependents. If they are denied, you send another one. If COBRA is unavailable to them, you send another one. If there's a change in premium, you send another one. If they are eligible for a disability extension, you send another one. During open enrollment, you send another one. If they've sent in the wrong premium amount and have an insignificant or a significant shortage, you send them another one. And then if their dependents become 26 and are unable to be covered, or if there's some other reason their dependents are dropped, you have to send another notice to the dependent and the employee. In other words, there's a bazillion notices that have to be sent to new hires, their dependents, terminating employees, and their dependents. Boone Chapman does this for many of the entities that they already provide third-party administrative services for. I would love to have them do this for us because I don't have the kind of system in place to where it would trigger me at 30 days and 60 days and 90 days and all of those different events to send notices to dependents and whatnot. They have that in their system ready to go. They have those dependents' names, they have their addresses, they know when they were covered. If you'll notice towards the bottom of the page of this COBRA notice requirements, she says, keeping accurate records is a must, timeframes must be met, and they must be able to be proven. And then she lists there the timelines that you have to send these notices. Then if you'll turn to the second page, penalties for not complying are $110 a day per action. So that would be per employee that we did incorrectly is $100 a day, plus an excise tax of $200 a day. And so Boone Chapman, I asked them to give me a price on what they could do this for Midland County for. What they do is a per employee per month charge, just like they do our administrative costs that we pay every month. We have about 500 folks on the insurance at a time, 500 to 530 or so, to send out both notices and keep up with all of the timelines and all the notices required. It's $1.75 per employee per month. That amounts to about $10,500 a year. If this is approved and I'm able to put the money in the next budget to cover this, I would probably ask for $12,000 even to be added to their administrative line to pay these costs. They can start this at any time. The second backup item that you have is the actual agreement, administrative services agreement that would be added to our current agreement to pay them this $1.75 per employee per month charge.
Okay. A couple of additional things we need to be aware of. One, it's not in the budget because we just got these regs. They just came out in August. So this is new to us, but if you'll notice on the COBRA notice requirements on the second page, they now have gone in and there are I don't know if it's definitions as much as descriptions of two areas that we've always wondered about. What is gross misconduct and how does it affect your COBRA? And the other is how does a leave of absence affect your COBRA? And those are now being defined. In addition to what Mitzi talked about in the fees, if you'll look on the administrative service agreement, page 2, section 3, item A, B, and C, it talks about fees, and the employer shall pay the administration fee, and the number's a little different. You said $175.
It's $1.50 to do the, well, it says the employer shall pay the administrator an administrative fee of $1.50 for each employee covered by the health plan, based on first of the month. And then item C, you pay an extra 25 cents per employee per month for every initial COBRA notice.
Yeah.
So it's $1.75 a month.
And that's important that it could be multiple notices in a given month. It won't be static, but we ought to plan on $1.75. And then the other thing is page 1 of the effective notice of the COBRA. Even though this is dated the 15th, they wrote a note on here that says it still applies 2017, and they value employee-only insurance at dental and health at $877.20. Employee and children, $1,017.96. Employee and spouse, $1,085.79. Employee and family, $1,148.01. So there's the value of the insurance.
That's what anybody that signs up for COBRA right now, that's the premium.
Yeah, and that's the $877.20 is what the county pays for each employee currently. So
Say that amount again, Judge.
it's on the front page of the notice, and it's $877.20 is what the county pays. Those are monthly rates.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, this is for discussion of the notices. And the next time.
And I did send, the next item is the agreement, and I did send that to Russell, and he had a few changes. They fixed it, and he's approved the fix.
So 31 doesn't require notice, it's just a Q&A. 32 is discuss, take action, authorize the county judge to sign an administrative agreement with Boone Chapman to administer the notices, and this is notices dealing with COBRA.
So those notices, will they go out today, or will they start going out October 1st of 2017?
We're going to initially send a notice to every employee that already works and their dependents, trying to explain to them that your insurance has changed, nothing's wrong, this is just a notice required by law,
Okay.
and get that out to everybody initially. And then from there, it'll be every new hire, every term, every qualifying event, they'll get a COBRA notice.
So it'll be as of today then? And not, because see here it talks about October, I'm just trying to get the dates, make sure we've got this correct. October 1st, 2017 under the service agreement. I know we mentioned a different date, so.
Right, I
just wanna
understood
clarify that.
we could start at any time. Did they actually date it 10/1?
Yeah, on the
I didn't
very
notice
beginning of administrative services agreement, it
Right.
says.
Oh, it sure
To be
does.
effective on October 1st of 17.
Okay.
So are we going to go on October 17, or do we want to start today? What would be your
You know
recommendation?
what, I'd need to get a hold of them to see if we can start sooner, if you'd like to, or otherwise we can start 10/1. I don't know if they can start 9/1 or not. I can certainly ask.
Commissioner, I would leave that with your agreement, leave it up to Mitzi.
Right.
When she's able to get a hold of them, and secondly, see if their systems are still working to do it, so.
I'm not sure I can get a hold of them right now.
Well, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that is going to affect on whether or not we're going to have to pay for it, for some of it this year. You know, obviously, we just have a month left. Or if we want to just go ahead and wait and start till next fiscal year. So, so before we decide, I guess we'll have, well, and again, we'll leave it up to you, but wouldn't we need some money to cover it for anything that needs to be covered for if we do start it in September? That's why I want to make sure our dates are
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Let me, if you don't mind, let me try to get a hold of them.
Okay.
In the next little bit and see what they tell me, so you guys will know for sure before the end of the day today.
We're still on 32. We need to take some action,
Okay.
either not to approve them or go ahead and approve them and
Sure.
then get the dates worked out. So is there a motion to have the administrative agreement administered by Boone Chapman?
I'll make that motion that we approve it, pending that phone call that we just talked about with Mitzi on the date to see when it will begin,
Okay.
whether it be September 1st or October 1st.
Okay? So
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed,
Thank you.
same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitzi.
Let's get the rest of the business wrapped up because the other sessions will be lengthy probably. 35, discuss take action on budget line item transfers. Veronica? Thank you.
Yes, sir, line item transfers. I do have some exceptions to bring before the court. Line item transfer on page 18 of 58. Line item transfer number 8181. It is moving money out of capital outlay less than $5,000 into equipment and furnishings for the IT department, $2,100. Page 19 of 58, line item transfer number 8345. It is moving money out of capital outlay less than $5,000, $4,850. That is also in the IT department, moving it into equipment and furnishings. On page 20 of 58, out of the IT department, moving money out of capital outlay greater than 5 into capital outlay less than 5,000, in the amount of $25,000. And then on page 34 of 58, line item transfer 8493, it is a budget amendment for some funds that were received for the sheriff's office donation, and you've already approved that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
On the purchase of some of these computers that you just mentioned, I don't know if Justin's here.
I don't-
Are these already, are we taking this into account before we
Yeah.
finalize the budget? Okay, thank you.
Yep, he said he thought he could do some of them, so there we go.
Awesome.
Okay, any questions, discussions, or motions?
Motion to approve line item transfers.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion passes. 36, discuss take action on bills and wire transfers.
Yes, I have actually 4 exceptions to the bills this morning
Okay.
having to do with purchases without a purchase order. And those are all out of the facilities department. I have one for APCO fire protection in the amount of $1,160. Explanation provided to me says the attached invoice needs to be expensed. The BPO should have been written for APCO to cover annual inspection on the fire system, and BPO got overlooked, is what they're indicating. I have a second one to APCO for the same reason, in the amount of $550. I do have one for commercial electric supply in the amount of $15. It was a fuse that was purchased. Explanation provided indicates that detention has a BPO for commercial electric supply, and somehow they got included on my list of vendors. That's explanation from Tim Harris. But it is $15. It does not have a purchase order. And the last one I have before you is Warren Cat in the amount of $1,145.09. No purchase order, troubleshoot generator. Vector is now handling the maintenance on the generators, and a purchase order was not written for this service call, is what they're indicating. What I also would request of the court, I have an additional FedEx bill that has to be paid. It is for the IT department, $14.68. If the court would allow me to go ahead and get this invoice paid for.
Okay. Heard the explanation. Are there questions, discussions, or motions?
Motion to pay bills.
You including the one that she just added?
Yes, all bills.
Okay.
Thank you.
So motion, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thanks, Veronica. 37, take action on submitted applications, permits to use county right-of-way for utility and line installation, driveway construction, and mailbox construction. Precinct 1.
1.
Precinct 2 has 5. We'll approve those. Precinct 3.
None?
Precinct 4.
None, make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 And that is approved. So the only thing we've got before we get into, Russell, you have executive session item. Sheriff has one. I have one. We can do those. Laura, do you have one? Okay, we've got 3. And we'll do those after we get the rest of the court agenda done. Is that right? Or do you need something right now? Okay. And based on that, is there anybody in the room that came for the tax hearing, public tax hearing that can't happen till 11 o'clock, but just need to see if there's anybody here? Okay. With that, let's take a 10-minute recess and let the court.
Judge,
Yeah.
I know Judge Dar has a jury waiting, and she.
Oh. Judge Dar, you need to go do a jury.
Upstairs.
Let me add this. Is there any other judge that's got a jury waiting? Okay, Judge Dar.
Okay, did you all receive this morning, this
Yes.
chart about court-appointed attorneys? And I brought some extra copies. Does anybody else need one? Okay. I am only coming to make a request and to draw the attention to the court. When we submitted our budgets about 3 months ago, none of us realized that we were going to be short in court-appointed attorneys' fees this year. So we didn't ask for additional court-appointed attorneys' fees when we submitted our budgets.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Judge, did you call this number?
I got to hear what she's saying, then I'll tell
33.
you what number. Huh?
I'm under 33.
Okay. We'll call 33. Well, it's not 33 because that's next year's budget.
That's what I'm on. I'm
For
on next year's
year.
budget.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. 33, received comments, requests for department heads, elected officials on Midland County budget. I understood it that you needed this to finish out
I'll
this
probably
year.
have to come back to you for that, but hopefully it won't be
Okay.
$251,000.
Go ahead, Judge.
So the auditor kindly did me this spreadsheet showing a 5-year trend. And so you can see that court-appointed attorneys' fees are tending to rise over the last 5 years. And these are non-discretionary expenditures. This is something I do not have any control over. The other judges don't have control over how many hours it takes to try a case or to prepare a case, or how many defendants we have arrested in Midland County, or what kind of crimes they're arrested for. So this is a non-discretionary item from our point of view, and I would think from yours. And so I just felt like it was incumbent upon us to tell you that what the proposal is going to fall short by $251,701 of what we did this year, and there's no reason to think they're going to go down. And so the light yellow column is our current department request, and the far right column is just the difference in what has been proposed by, well, the column is called County Judge Proposed, and our amended request.
Okay. And to bolster, I had this and didn't know that's what you were going to speak about today, but to bolster her statement here, the auditor did this for us, and it looks like we're approaching $2 million this year on the indigent defense and court appointeds and et cetera. And the state's statement of full funding is $143,342.
That is the 2016 year, yes.
Yeah. So as we argued at the legislature, you don't fund it. Oh, yes, we do. Well, 143 of $2 million is not much. So. No, you don't have that. I have that.
Okay.
So I think the judge is right on cue asking for this, and we'll take it up when we get into the budget.
So just to be clear, what I'm asking you to do is to amend our budgets like that far right column, for a total for the 7 courts, 251,701. Any questions? May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for
Thank you,
waiting.
Judge.
Okay, if you'll hold that thought, let's go back and take a 10-minute recess. We now have the answer from the state of Texas about election judges, and we'll need to read it, come back in and address that issue, and then we'll go to the next item. Okay, so court will stand in recess for 10 minutes. It's 10:40 by my watch. Where's Luis?
He's right here.
Okay, we're back from our break and recess and back in session. It's 10:54 by my watch. We've got a couple of makeup items to get back to. First, let's go back to 32, discuss take action authorizing the county judge to sign an administrative agreement with Boone Chapman to administer notices. We are, Mitzi did get a hold of Mr. Gowan, and you want to tell us what the time frame is?
They said they can start anytime, 9/1 or 10/1. It's up to you guys, just
Okay.
let me know when.
So,
It would take, they would add, if we start at 9/1, they would add it to the administrative fees
Yeah.
for September.
and then we would see it in the way of additional charges the second meeting in September to pay. And
What is the,
go ahead.
what is it required by the legislation that you were talking about
It's required right now.
today?
Yeah.
So how are you handling it today?
Today, we're,
Doing it all by yourself?
yes, manually.
Okay.
And we had not even been sending to dependents, so we have to do that right now if,
It starts in August, and normally they bring it to us in August, but the dependence is a new wrinkle, and
Yeah.
she's a little overwhelmed with it right now.
Yeah. But you're okay for the next 4 days?
oh, yeah.
But it needs a motion if you wanted to start it September 1st. That will be the last of our
Do we
budget.
have the money for that extra
Yeah.
fee this month, in administrative?
Yeah,
Okay.
we do. Commissioner Sanchez, you asked the same question. Do you have a date you want to start?
I mean, I'd leave that up to the court. I just want to make sure that we,
I want to be compliant.
right. And also, we would need to know, because we either need to put money for this budget to get that amount done, or so we can go ahead and get started for next year. So that was the only reason why I made that question, that
Okay,
observation.
there's money available. It'll take a line item transfer perhaps, but she needs some direction so she can get it out of her hands and hand it.
Good with September 1.
September 1.
Is that a motion?
That'd be great.
Sure.
I'll second that
Have
motion.
a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. There you go.
Thank y'all very much.
September 1.
And then the money needs to, will you have it in your budget, or do we need to make an amendment on the amount?
I believe there's going to be enough in the healthcare budget to handle it.
There will be? Okay, great. Thank you.
Now, we've got, help me find this. Deborah. Item 16, discuss take action on appointment of election judges, early voting ballot board, and central count personnel for 2-year period beginning September 1st, 2017. We've each had a chance, along with Russell, to read the letter, and the essence of the letter is, they say, while it may be an allegation or an irregularity, it is not one that invalidates an outcome, and they cannot refer it, does not constitute a criminal violation. So there we are. However, Deborah, Mr. Beecham has attended, and he hasn't had a chance to speak, so let's recognize Mr.
Okay.
Beecham. James, you want to come forward? And if I've got this right, you're speaking as the chairman of the Midland County Republican Party, correct?
That's correct, sir. James Beecham, Midland, Texas.
Okay.
I am the chairman of the Republican Party. And in reference to what I have heard back about complaints this morning, I'll simply say this. When we were in the process of putting our election judges together for submission, I received an email from our voting office stating that there were complaints about one of our appointees and that he would no longer be able to be a judge. Upon clarification, That's not the case. There's nothing to prevent him from being a judge again. This individual has about 30 years' experience as an election judge here, and I can already tell you from what has already transpired, he doesn't want to be an election judge anymore. But we'll have to replace him. And so we included him as a placeholder here. Along those lines, I have reviewed those same complaints that I think you have now reviewed. And again, Judge, I think you very fairly summed it up, although there's a little bit of question here because the responses from the Secretary of State's office say that this was the March primary, when in fact, I believe Mrs. Land has indicated that it was the general election. So I'm not real sure about all of this, except to say that the discussion that took place was regarding Chapter 63 and provisional voting. And there are two instances in Chapter 63 of the Election Code that deal with provisional voting. One is if you do not have any ID that you can provide, and secondly is if you are not on the voting list. From my perspective, I agree with being a little bit conservative in this area. I want people to vote. We encourage people to participate. But at the same time, I think over the last couple of years, provisional ballots have become like candy at Halloween. We hand it out to whoever because we don't want to have that tough discussion with them about whether they are or not qualified. And I think honesty is always the best policy. And I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, we had a lady from the DFW area who had recently moved here, staying in an apartment, had been here about 21 days. And when we visited with her and found out she'd only been here 21 days, that she was registered to vote in Dallas, and explained that that was probably going to be the best course for her to contact the elections office there and get a mail ballot or what have you. It's where her homestead was, everything else. But instead, she went to our elections office here and ended up voting a provisional ballot. During this past election, I believe the Democratic and Republican mail ballot board judges both indicated agreement on one item to be thrown out, and it was put back in. I understand the concerns expressed by the other side, but at the same time, I also have a concern about the integrity of our elections here in Midland County. We spent a lot of time putting this together, and let me tell you something, election judges aren't easy to find. The election code is complicated, and it's not an easy job. So I think to come up here and beat the hell out of somebody sounds real easy, David, but in fact, it's not. From our perspective, the law is pretty simple. As the Republican County Chair, I have the ability to present a list to this court, and you have the ability to accept it. I appreciate your consideration, and I'll leave my case there. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Beecham, thank you. We've each reviewed it, and it is the list that's been submitted. We can approve or not accept, but the sequence is, by law, we historically have approved, and if there's a fallout somewhere along the line, there's alternates that the election office has. Now, that still does not answer. Mr. Rosen has indicated he has a vacancy, knowing a vacancy at this time. And do you have a replacement at this time?
Yes, sir. Mr. Rosen has presented me with another name.
And that would be for the
for-
substitute for what?
For Joseph Willis.
Yes.
He is down in precinct 409. That will now be Kerry, Kerry, Manzo, Manzo, and I have the address and all that information.
Okay, if you get that to us. All right. Heard from both parties and the election administrator with the substitution. So that means the list is whole as of this date. So is there any further discussion or a motion?
So I want to tell Deborah, I appreciate you bringing this information to us, making us aware of what it is. Earlier, before we even started this conversation, I requested that we look to see what exactly we were talking about because we hadn't seen any of this information And Mr. Beecham, I appreciate you coming out here. I was the one that requested that you come out here so that way we can hear your side of the story, because again, we need to make sure that we're making the right decision, just to be informed. So I appreciate you taking the time to come out here. And yes, I will go back and say what this letter does state is that it was found. It says here, Elections Division from the state of Texas, an election judge who does not offer a provisional ballot to a voter would be considered an election irregularity. But later on, it does say that this does not, these allegations at this time do not constitute a criminal violation. So that clears up the question about criminal activity. Again, we had no information on it, but this letter answers the question. So again, I appreciate you bringing these to us.
Well, and Mr. Beecham did bring up a point in the letters. It does state the March primary. Both of
Right.
these complaints were brought by poll watchers. We had no poll watchers for the March primary. These were poll watchers for the general election in November.
Okay, again,
So-
that's information we don't have, but the subject matter is been addressed by the state. So the court's obligation is to either approve the judges or not. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Deborah, but,
Well, that's okay.
so you have the list. Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the judges list as amended.
Okay.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, lady and gentlemen. Okay? And now the other two items, besides executive session, there are a couple of folks here that have come in. It's after 11 o'clock, so we are in the tax hearing time. We'll go to item 8, conduct second public hearing on proposed tax rate. Midland County won't adopt a rate until in September when we adopt a budget. But we have proposed keeping the rate at its current level. Any of those wishing to speak, excuse me, please fill out the witness form in the back and get them to us. We'll take them in the order that we receive them. We have one general public testimony against property tax. Ms. Lee Wallace. Ms. Wallace? You're welcome to be back. And for the record, I showed this to you, but the other day we had a discussion on why do you need the money when you got money? And the example I cited was a couple of years old indigent defense number. And we have a new number that's current thanks to the auditor. We're going to pay out a little over $2,028,000. That's $2,028,000, of which the state reimbursed us $143,000. Even more dramatic than we thought.
Right.
All right,
And-
same rules. If you'd please start with your name, where you live. You have 3 minutes, and
My name's Lee Wallace. I live at 2909 Ann Drive here in Midland. I'm in Mr. Donnelly's precinct and out in Niffen Estates. We've been out there for about 20 years, and every year our taxes have gone up. Whether it's the rate or the value, appraised value, whatever the cause, the rate's always gone up, or the amount we've paid has always gone up. And I suggested last week, was that Thursday, I guess?
Yes, ma'am.
When I was here, that I think it would be greatly appreciated, I know I would appreciate it, if you would lower the rate so that we don't pay more again. And with the reserves, even with the unfunded mandates and the reserves, the sales tax, $61 million reserve from sales taxes, I think right now, the way it feels to me after 20-plus years in the oil business, more like 25, that, the economy is stabilized quite a bit in the Midland economy, this area, and I think it would be greatly appreciated if you could this court could set a precedent on lowering taxes, tax reform, something we can't get nationally, but we sure would appreciate it locally.
Okay.
And I'd hope you take that into consideration and not, you know, that is an alternative. It feels like in government offices, local, national, state, everywhere, lowering taxes doesn't ever seem to be an option. You just either want to keep it the same, but mostly it gets raised. And so I would appreciate it, and I think everyone in the county would appreciate it, which includes the people in the city. They pay county taxes also, that you actually lower the rate. That is an option. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wallace, let me make sure, the other day you had asked specifically to lower the rate back to the effective rate. Is that what you're
Right.
reinstating today?
Right, right.
Okay, fine.
At a minimum. You can go lower. We'll
Okay.
be okay with that.
That'd be okay with you, huh?
Yeah, I think everybody would be
Midland
okay with
County
that.
has lowered the rate a number of years, but you're right, this year we're proposing a different scenario.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Okay, we have a second general public testimony. Okay, against property tax, Darlena Collins. Ms. Collins, are you here? Good morning. And if you'll start with your name and your address and same thing, 3 minutes, and have at it.
My name is Darlena Collins, and I live at 3307 South County Road, 1224 in Midland. I'm here to ask that the property taxes not be increased. Our values have gone up, and I know that there's new properties coming online for all the entities within this area, and I believe that we're just being taxed out. And I would like to see it go back to the effective tax rate, because you will be getting those monies, plus with the valuations that have gone up, you'll be getting extra there. And I also oppose matching the employee retirement at 200%. I thought that 180% was more than generous. I think that 200% is outlandish.
Okay.
And I am also representing, you know, myself, my husband, and then we did start a small business
Yes,
with an
ma'am.
RV park, a mobile home park, to help the people in Midland. Our land sat vacant, and now then our taxes have greatly increased on that also.
Okay. May I ask you a question?
Yes,
How
sir.
much increase in appraisal value did you get this year?
Well, they went from 15,000 an acre for last year's up to 30,000, so they more than doubled it. And I don't feel that that is proper. I don't know if it's legal or not, that they can raise it that much in 1 year's time, but it has gone up, and the valuations on our home and so on have gone up also.
Have you petitioned for a hearing with the appraisal district?
Yes, sir, I did.
So you're granted one. Have you had the hearing yet?
No, sir.
Okay. And something else, let me go back. You made a statement about real property coming online. This is what the appraisal district sends us, and their real property says we're down 64.39% in values. So,
Well, there are new businesses that are coming in as to where you did have vacant land.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were getting raw prices on your taxing. And I believe with their building and stuff, that those valuations will go up. And so therefore, all entities would be collecting more monies.
well, my point in telling you that is to tell you, we're aware that there's new properties out there, but they haven't hit our values yet. So we would anticipate, since they didn't make it this year, that they'll be collected on next year, and that will certainly impact. But that's the numbers. You're welcome to any of this that we're speaking of, but we thank you for that. And you are taking advantage of the county's exemptions. There are regular
Yes, sir.
homestead exemptions, but the county has added to that, and are you getting all of those?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the same question I didn't ask Ms. Wallace. You're taking advantage of all the exemptions, including the ones that the county extended? Okay, all right. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir. Just that you know that I'm against both of those items. Thank you.
Collins, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on a tax hearing, public tax hearing? Last call, anyone wishing to speak on a public tax rate tax hearing? Not hearing any more, we'll move to the next item. Okay? The next item is 33 and 34. And before you come up, there's no particular order. It's first come, first serve. Is same thing. If you'll limit your comments to 3 minutes, please do not be repetitious if you can keep from it. And some of these items, the court will take into well, let me back up. All these items the court will take into consideration. Probably won't address all of them, maybe none of them, until Commissioner Donnelly is back, and he'll be back next court meeting. So just be aware of that. And Mr. Ramsey, you going to keep the times?
Sure.
Okay. So at this time, 33, receive comments and requests from department heads, elected officials on Midland County budget that is proposed.
I'll start it off for you, Judge.
All right. And,
Ross Bush, District Clerk.
Hang on one second, Ross. Let me get my notepad out.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Just ask that you keep a question mark by the postage for next year. As
Yes.
Judge Dar showed you,
Yes.
the court cases are going up. I'll be back, I'm sure, for more postage. The other issue I have, Veronica called me and asked me about the sheriff's line item 100-500-10.5545, which is.
Three notices?
Yes.
Okay.
When we when we print our jury notices, we send them to the sheriff, and the sheriff has always taken these and mailed them using this line item. I went back and tried to find something in statute saying he had to do that. I even checked with our old auditor, Johnny Thompson, who works part-time. She was an auditor for Midland County. Nobody really knows why. It's one of those that we've done this. We've done it, we continue to do it. The only thing that we can find close to saying why it should be done is before, in the 84th legislation happened, we used to have the, as they call it, the good old boy for grand jury, where we would make a list, then we would print the letter out, then we would send the letter to the sheriff, and the sheriff had to deliver them. Well, that was done away with, and we now do the grand jury just like we do our pettit juries. We go to the jury wheel, and we hit the button, and it spits out 125, 250, whatever the judge requests for that court, and we mail them in the regular mail. It's not a letter anymore, anything like this. Again, I think this ought to be.
You want to move it back to your office?
Move it to, I don't know when it was taken away. I think it ought to be put back into the clerk, because
Been
that's
there
my.
as long as I can remember. So
Yeah.
your question is to move it back to you.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, you willing to, you're all in favor of this, huh? Okay.
I don't know how you'd move that, or if it would stay the same line item. I'm just saying that we don't need to be doing it just cause we've been doing it. And it is a continuation of my jury process.
Okay.
Just a quick question. So are you asking for that money to be moved into your postage line item? Is that where it's supposed to go, or is it separate, or is it the
Yes.
jury notice
Yeah,
line?
effective for the.
Postage?
For the 2018 budget.
Okay.
Move however they want to move. If they want to take that line item number and give it to me, postage for jury, however they need to set it up. Yeah, it just needs to be for jury. I don't know how you'd word that
Right,
specifically.
Okay. Russell, would you look into that and make sure there isn't some 500-year-old statute that we're violating? Okay.
Ross, before you sit down, would you give us an additional update on how the system's working with, now that we can go online and pick our dates and so forth for jury service and for the number of people that show up?
Oh, it's awesome. Again, we are getting a 92 to 94% return on our jury notices. Of course, we get the comment all the time about, I didn't receive my summons, but I got an email, I got a text. I didn't know if I was supposed to be here. Yeah, you are, and they show up. So just like this morning, when we got through picking our 5 juries, we sent approximately 88 people. They got to call back in, but we didn't need those 88 people. Instead of having to called Ms. Nodoff's office and said, can y'all reschedule? We don't have enough jurors.
So Ross, when somebody shows up and they did not receive a mailed notice, but they did get an email notice, then do we update a working address for them at that point in time?
Yes, sir. We check their information because, as you know, and for those that don't, you get a little 3x5 postcard, and you go online and you register. It gives you a juror number and a juror signature number. We can't control the post office. Like I said, we send them down there, and we don't know what happens, but this new system is great. It still texts them and emails them, everything but smoke signals.
I happen to think this is one of the best things that's happened to our justice system in Midland in many, many years.
Well, and you know, we are out the expense for printing jury summons.
Your time's up.
Oh,
Thank you.
I was answering
He was
his
answering me.
That's okay.
My fault, not yours.
No. Thanks, Ross.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak? Forrest, step forward.
Judge, Commissioners, if y'all would permit me to get my cheaters on here so I can read.
Okay.
This is Forrest Hanna. I'm the Chief Juvenile Probation Officer for the Midland County Juvenile Probation Department. As you know, judges, each of the county departments has unique roles and responsibilities. For the Juvenile Department, those roles and responsibilities include that all of our officers have to complete 80 hours of specialized training in order to become and maintain state certification as juvenile officers. That's both probation officers and detention officers. Certification in first aid, CPR, and physical restraint technique is required. We are responsible for the safety and security of the community, along with the Sheriff's Department. We're responsible for the care and custody of youth between the ages of 10 and 16 who must be detained for public safety. We're often responsible for maintaining one-on-one supervision of youth who are actively suicidal, homicidal, or psychotic. We are required by the Texas Administrative Code to perform mental health assessments and criminogenic risk and needs assessments on every youth referred to the department. Fiscal year to date, that's 764 referrals. And by the way, 70 to 74% of those referrals that come to us have diagnosable mental health illness. We are required by the Texas Administrative Code to attend the local Community Resource Coordination Group. We are also required to meet state standards promulgated by the Texas Juvenile Justice Department for both probation services and detention services, and must undergo a yearly audit of compliance with these standards. We work under the authority of a specialized governmental entity, the Midland County Juvenile Board, who has the legal obligation to set the policies and procedures, including fiscal policies, for the department. Our department plays a vital role in this community. We are involved in figuratively and literally saving lives. But we don't do that alone. We work in collaboration with our community partners, particularly the Centers for Children and Families, the schools, CPS, MHMR, Department of State Health Services, and of course, local law enforcement, especially the Midland County health deputies and officers. We also rely heavily on the services that are provided by the other county departments who support us. Of course, we cannot do our jobs without your support. We appreciate the support that you have given us in the past and would ask that you continue to support the department. Please do not exclude our department from the 4% cost of living raises. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Hanna? Okay. Forrest, thank you.
Thank you.
Forrest, I have a question. The last
there
time
is a question.
that you and I met, you mentioned that you were needing more for the contract services line item. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. In the detention budget, there's a line item there for contract services. It was presented to the court as a zero need.
Right.
Actually, that was my fault. I had left that out of the request. That $10,000 contract goes to our teachers.
Right.
That provide services during
During the holidays in the summer, right?
You need how much?
10,000?
And that's for detention, is that correct?
Right, for contract services. The next one was the equipment and maintenance that you and I talked about. You asked me about $3,000 to replace
Okay.
base.
We're in detention still, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, is this in
Okay.
detention?
Yes, I believe it is. Miss Kathy Chavez, who's a facility administrator over there, has noticed a lot of work that needs to be done around the baseboards, replacing a lot of those things. And so I believe the estimate was about $3,000.
And then the last well, there's two more requests, and I think this is under probation, and correct me if I'm wrong. I just wrote these notes real quick when you and I spoke. You talked about the inmate food supplies. Tell me about the inmate food supplies,
Yes,
something
actually,
about
it's a little misnomer.
$1,500.
We don't have inmates on probation, but that's the line item, the way it's described. That food goes to buy, or that money goes to buy snacks for mainly our female offender programs. We also buy snacks for other kids at other times for other programs, but that was requested and that was left off of the proposal.
Okay.
And then you had $1,000 in building maintenance. That's all I have, but I don't remember what you were requesting that
It wasn't
for.
a specific need, but occasionally during the year, things will come up, building maintenance that might need to be done. And so that's just a number. We don't have anything specific.
And that's for probation or detention?
That's on the probation side for the facility there.
So the building maintenance is on the probation side.
There's two different building maintenances. There's one on the detention
Right.
side, which is about $3,000. We may have requested more than that, but I think the $3,000 would cover the baseboards.
But the one he's speaking of is $1,000 on the probation side.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. 1,500. Okay. Now, are there any more questions, Mr. Hannah? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Forrest.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Judge Moore. Good
I'm
morning.
Marvin Moore, Judge of the County Court at Law Number 2. I'm here to talk about the same issue, the exclusion of all the juvenile probation and juvenile detention county employees from receiving the 4% cost of living increase. And when we heard about the proposal, we began to talk to the commissioners about what was the justification for this. And what we basically heard is that the commissioners were upset with actions of the juvenile board, or how the juvenile board took actions, or the lack of communication between the juvenile board and the commissioners court. And I would say, if there are issues along those lines, come and tell us there are those types of issues. And we will try to set in place mechanisms by which we communicate or answer those questions. Now, I think there are mechanisms in place currently that haven't been utilized, but they're there. But if there's a problem with that, come tell us about it. The juvenile board can suffer those slings and arrows. We can make corrections if we need to make corrections, but do not punish the employees of juvenile probation and juvenile detention as being the only employees in the entire county not to receive the cost of living increase. Those folks did absolutely nothing to warrant being excluded from receiving those pay raises. Nothing. And if anyone did anything that upset the commissioner's court, it has to be the juvenile board, not those employees, because I've never heard one justification that they've done anything to warrant being excluded from that pay raise or that cost of living increase. I'd like to hear if there are any justifications, but.
I'd like to respond to that, Judge. I appreciate you coming to us, and I don't think it's fair, well, on my end, to say that we're being unfair to the employees because of something that's occurred, that we're mad at somebody. For me, in the last month or two, I just found out a lot of stuff we had no idea about. So there's no way for me to make a right decision on anything that I had no idea existed, things that have been going on for years now that we just found out. And of course, Forrest and I have already talked about that stuff, and he did explain to me a couple of things. You mentioned also that we need to come to the juvenile board. The problem is that the stuff that we just found out, I had no clue existed. So I wouldn't know how to come to you to ask you for something that I have no idea even exists, but now I know. It's something that I will, and it's fair, and I know that's what we're talking about right now.
Fairness is what I'm talking about.
And I did speak to Forrest. He did say he wanted to know what things he can do to make a change. I said, well, first of all, he could at least come to us and talk to us, which is something that is starting to occur now, which I really do appreciate. It's giving me a better understanding of what is going on in the juvenile detention and probation again. And maybe it's my fault for not going out to juvenile detention and probation more often to go visit to see what's happening, but I just thought everything was fine until this budget year. And just to make another point, I did meet with, Randy and I met with Forrest about the budget. And at that time, nothing had been said to us about some of the things that I just found out until after I received a phone call. And so I just want to make sure that I make that clear. I try to be as fair as I can with everybody. Usually when I'm in court, I like to ask a lot of questions. I don't just make a decision. And I want to make sure that I hear both sides of the story. And I can tell you right now that that has occurred. So it's definitely something that I'm reviewing.
Well, I appreciate it, but every action taken by the juvenile board has been in an open meeting that, the members of the juvenile board are always invited to it. Everything's been above board. Nothing has been done behind anybody's back. Not one action.
Correct. Correct.
I just don't exclude those folks. They've done nothing to warrant being excluded.
Any
other
other
questions?
questions of Judge Moore? Judge, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak concerning their budgets? Or Judge Peeler, good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Thank
Morning.
you all for the opportunity to coming and discussing this matter. My name is Kyle Peeler. I'm the County Court at Law Judge. I'm also the designated juvenile court judge and also chairman of the juvenile board. Board is responsible to both the state and the county for providing effective and efficient juvenile justice systems designed to rehabilitate and counsel children that have committed misdemeanor and felony grade offenses in the community. Our intent is to rehabilitate the child and protect the community. We're kind of on a high wire. We answer to the state and the Texas Juvenile Justice Department with regard to policies, procedures, and things of that nature. We've tried to accomplish in the past the foregoing task by making continual improvements to both the structure and policies used within the Juvenile Probation Department, which includes the Barbara Culver Detention Center. Commissioner Sanchez, you just indicated that we don't know what's happening, and yet there were two items that were talked about by Mitzi just a while ago about the new hires in the Juvenile Probation Department. Two of those people are here. Those two people, Joy Huggins and Jessica Lucero. They didn't expect me to call on them. Y'all stand up. They didn't get started at the base pay. And the reason they didn't get started at the base pay is because Joy has extensive experience as a juvenile probation officer in the DFW area, and Ms. Lucero has extensive experience as a prior juvenile probation officer in New Mexico. So we didn't think it was proper to start them at a base grade pay, someone just coming out of school. The Juvenile Probation Department, through the efforts of its employees, many of whom are here today, has obtained recognition from through the Midland County System of Care by an independent mental health countywide assessment conducted by the Meadows Foundation, and they were cited as the most tangible example of the potential for collaboration and should be supported as a cornerstone for system improvement for children and their families. There's something in our mission statement where we serve more, better, efficiently, effectively. You have an independent organization coming into this county and saying the Juvenile Probation Department is doing just that. The efforts of our Juvenile Probation Department just this past Friday was given statewide recognition when it was asked to come to Austin and present a program to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department's quarterly meeting last Friday, showing the steps communities can take to create the necessary infrastructure to implement the closer to home goal aimed at reducing commitment to state detention facilities. Judge Bradford knows that the state has reduced its population from over 4,000 kids to 1,200 in the last 4 or 5 years. They're throwing it back into the counties, and we have to have the infrastructure necessary to handle those kids because they're going to be in our communities. Beginning just this next week, In order for me to commit a child to TJJD, I have to have a special finding in my court. That's a legislative enactment, Judge Whitmire, or Congressman Whitmire.
Senator Whitmire, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We provided drug dogs as a result of seeing that 80% of our in-school infractions involve the use of drugs. We made federal funds available, and we purchased the vehicle, the dog, and the training for the drug dog that is now being used by MISD.
Judge, excuse me.
Sure.
You've used your time, but I want to make sure we get the points that you're
Sure.
wanting to raise, if you would.
Well, I think possibly, the point is that I hear, and I've talked with commissioners and you, Judge Bradford, and I hear that we just haven't heard anything. We aren't communicating well. That may very well be the case, and we'll use every effort we can in the future to communicate better. Your voice on the board, you have a voice on the board, and that's in the form of the county judge. So he is there. He can be there at every meeting. I notify all the judges, and we let y'all know what's happening. So thank you. Please don't punish these people. Do the right thing.
Judge, thank you. Okay. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Judge Lindemood.
Morning. My name is David Lindemood. I'm the judge of the 318th, and this year and next year, I'm the administrative judge because we have more than one district. So let me talk about the budget for the indigent defense. Judge Dar had addressed that as to basically the criminal defense lawyers in my court, and I've asked for an increase as well. Mine has increased due to two matters. One is there's a lot more contempt actions for people not paying child support that I've had to deal with, and I've had more de novo trials, namely appeals from the CPS court, the Child Protection Court, that, again, once they move there and they try their case over again to me, it's just additional attorney's fees. And so I want to clarify that part of it from my standpoint.
David, what does de novo indicate?
It means it's a fancy word for try it over again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rather than looking at a record, you just go up there and try it from as if it's never been tried before. So Judge Chavez will hear that case, and then they'll come up and try it again. They typically try it a little better because they've learned something from the first trial.
So in my case, our jury, I'm a CASA, and the jury found the offending parent guilty on a unanimous 100% basis. They filed an appeal. Does that appeal go to Eastland first, or to you first, or where?
On a jury, I think that goes to Eastland.
Because I didn't remember anything having to do with local.
Right, yeah. It's when they try it to the court, then it tries it to me again.
Okay, and so when would that happen, or how often has that happened?
Last Friday. I was in trial until about 6 o'clock last Friday.
Okay, and that was because it was a non-jury?
Yes.
Ruling?
And it was a termination case.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Judge, what we've got, Judge Dar requested a little over 250, so we got $254,000 in just basic requests, and then Judge Satterwhite mentioned separate from that, he still has a capital case pending.
Got 4.
He's got 4, but he said, anyway, the additional request from him is another 150, so that's 400,000 being requested, a little over 400,000 being requested for the next budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, and again, I expect that we will have, we may have to come back before the end of this fiscal year as well.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a given that
Yes.
you've got to come back, so.
But on the second matter, again, as the administrative judge, I speak for all the judges. We are unanimous to ask your reconsideration to allow the 42 people at probation to participate in the same manner as everybody else in the county. I've talked to Judge Bradford pretty extensively, and obviously there's been some problems in the past. I will represent to you as the administrative judge is that we will deal with those problems and they won't happen again. If it's the communication, I believe will satisfy all the concerns that have happened, and we will communicate much better than we have in the past. We acknowledge that, and we'll take the responsibility for it. And again, as your administrative judge, I can assure you, I speak for all of our judges, all of our trial judges, we are to a person requesting you do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge.
Yes.
I just said
I
thanks.
just said thank you.
Thanks, all right.
Anybody else wishing to speak about their budget?
Oh, boy.
We'd like to get to you, but we're going to break for lunch.
First thing I'd start with was the administrative budget.
Okay.
We have a request in for a floor machine to polish our floors with. Currently, we're having to use the jail's machine in order to do that. It is a request of $1,155.
Sheriff, does the inmate polish your floor?
That is correct.
Okay.
And we're asking that be re-entered into the budget request. Another one is under education and training. It was cut to $20,000. We've already spent $26,500, and we're asking for that to be. We asked for $36,000, so hopefully we can get that back in.
Sheriff, let
Yes,
me
sir.
ask you on that. That $26,000 you and I discussed was for the additional training for anyone that's going to act in a courtroom. Is that what you're speaking of?
Well, that's part of it. We're going to have some of that. We've got to
Okay.
have all of our.
Because it was cut to 20,000 when the state made us aware it was available online, so we just took out some travel money. That's how it got to 20.
Well, there may be some of it online, but I don't know that it's all going to be online. We have to
Well-
have all the, all the bailiffs, every officer that
Right.
enters into the court.
Right. So my answer is, if it turns out there's not, then that certainly will be considered. But when we inquired about it, they said, no, it's all available online. You don't have to travel.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if the entire package has been.
I'm
Set
telling
up.
you everything I know.
Yeah, I talked to, I was in Austin last week for the TAC conference.
Uh-huh.
And spoke with the people from TEEX, and they're the ones that set up a lot of the online stuff. T-Cole also sets up some online stuff, but as far as I know, they haven't got it prepared, nor have they got it available.
Well, it is,
Another line item in the administrative budget is the request that we had for 12 laptops for the staff. It's been reduced down to 3, and we're asking that be replaced.
okay, and that item was changed because there's been a history of supplying them for staff, but they end up in 2 and 3 pieces of equipment per individual, is what the information we have.
No, sir, I think that's incorrect information.
Okay,
And I'll
if
be
you-
glad to challenge that and.
Yeah, if you can help us clarify that, please.
Well, I can tell you right now that I don't believe that that's been happening.
Okay.
We have not specified individual laptops for the staff. It's the first time I've done this,
Okay,
requesting them for the staff.
okay,
And I went through IT to find out which one they would recommend, and they did recommend the ones that we have proposed to you.
okay.
Under CID, under contract services, we need an additional $6,000. The previous lieutenant to set up the budget failed to add the $6,000 for the contract services for the agency that we have to hire the inmate or the person through, the temporary staff. And they charge $5.83 an hour on top of the amount paid to the temporary employee. That was not included in the budget, and we're asking for the $6,000 to be included.
Okay,
That will be to make it a whole, and it should be adjusted to a total of $21,000 for contract services.
all right.
The purchase of forensic software, we have a need for that. The investigations that we do on computers, we have to have the forensic software to be able to do those investigations. The state will go through the hard drive for counties for a huge, but they have a backload of 8 to 12 months long. before they can ever get to it. We need to get to that faster, and I think the district attorney will tell you that the faster that we can get into that hardware and get into the software on a computer and get that information for prosecution, it would be better for her and better for us to get those inmates back into the system.
Okay, do we understand correctly, right now, you send it to the state and you wait on the state to give it back, and there's a delay, is that?
That is correct, up to 12 months.
Thank you.
And that's $4,300 that we need to add back into that. Under education and training, again, it was cut, and we're asking for that to be moved back. We discussed that a while ago. In CID, we have $2,000 was cut out of that on the CID budget, and we're asking for that $2,000 to be added back. On the next sheet under patrol publications, we had there were several books that were cut out, or money that was used for the new books that we're having to get because of the new laws. And we needed 34 sets. It was reduced by the court or by the judge, I believe. Somewhere in the budget it was cut out. We need to have those books placed back in. We need an increase of $1,056 in that line item to make sure that we get all the proper manuals and books that we can have so we can distribute them to the officers.
Okay.
Second line is the equipment rental. Looking for an ice machine for the break room, and that would be an $1,800 to cover that. Be placed in there for officers when they're going out in the heat. They do take some coolers with them to help keep their water cool and to help them while they're on patrol and while they're doing their job. Second is under the capital outlay, less than $5,000, stalker radars. We don't know if that fund was moved to IT or purchasing, but we needed $6,800 to cover that for stalker radars to check for speeders out on the highway. We do have a lot of accidents, tremendous number of accidents, and speed is one of the major causes. And of course, the biggest cause, I think, in my opinion, is inattention in driving and people just not paying attention. But speed is one of the major players in that, especially in the accidents involving deaths and serious injury. We would like for you to look at that and increase that. We also requested $71,910 for 18 Noptic spotlight units. This will be used at night for the officers that work, especially at night. It's infrared. They can have it going through their computer. They can take pictures. They can take video. This would be additional use for when they're out at night. They can use a spotlight, but that spotlight doesn't tell you who's hiding in the dark. You can only if your light reaches that particular area. These Noptic spotlights are infrared, and they can go beyond the vision of a regular spotlight. And they can reach out into the bush. They can reach out behind trees. They can tell you anyone that's hiding and gives off a heat signature, and be able to provide those officers a much safer opportunity to conduct their business and do their job at night. In civil warrants, we have a list of units, patrol units that we're asking to have added. The Unit 490 is a 2014 Chevy Tahoe at 103,702 miles on it. We would request that that be replaced. And then in uniforms, we have a CRT in our crisis response team. We're asking $6,000 for uniforms for them so that they can be more uniform when they go out and make contact with the public, handling mental case calls and disturbances that involve people that are in a mental crisis. And we need them to look up here in the same manner.
Okay. Sheriff, if I can go back a minute on the civil warrants, those list of vehicles that are over 100,000 miles, they're already in the budget.
Okay.
The one that isn't is the 88,000 mile F-150, because it didn't meet the mileage. When we do the budget, it's 100,000 miles or more. Yes, sir.
That Ford pickup is one that we've had electrical problems with for a long time, and John Warren was the one that suggested highly that we
Okay,
replace that one.
And when we go back, after today, when we go back through, if we've missed a letter and Mr. Warren makes that recommendation, it'll probably get in there, okay?
Make sure we got that.
Yes, sir.
And all of your Explorers are taken out of service.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that.
Yeah, if you can get over in front of the mic, Ken.
Unit 490 is the extra one that I'm requesting because it has 103,000 miles. That's the one I did not put on the original budget request.
Okay. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Sheriff.
And on the jail side, we had a request or a statement by the jail inspector when he came around. In the medium holding tanks, in the medium cell blocks, GH and J, the porcelain sinks and porcelain toilets were pointed out by the jail inspector as possible uses as weapons. They can break off a chunk of that or use it, and then they can use that as a weapon inside the tank.
So does he
And,
want to go to stainless steel?
Yes, sir. And go to stainless steel at a cost of $69,875.
Sheriff, can you send me a separate little note on that? It's not in this sheet, or I
It
missed.
should be, it's not in there?
No, sir, that's not in here.
Okay. On the,
We don't have anything on the jail.
don't. Okay, that's, I'll give you a copy of mine, make sure
Okay.
that you have that.
Okay,
Another line item is the cabinet countertops. This will give you an idea of the formica that's on the cabinet tops in there. They can break that off.
In where?
In GH and J, the countertops
Okay.
in those, back in the laps or in the lavatories. You can break this off and use that as a weapon, a sharp point on it.
Okay.
And that's something else that we'd like to get rid of and remove.
How many of those cell blocks are in the old jail that was remodeled?
No, these are the new ones that were built, the GH and J.
These are all in the new unit?
Yes, sir. These are
Okay.
the 372 bed pods.
Okay.
And that's at a cost of $9,600. And in the sheet rock, in the GH and J tent again.
That's in the budget.
Yes, sir. Okay, good. Very good. He's got it. And I'll make sure and get you copies of this.
Okay,
And,
please. Five
We're
copies.
handing our inmates weapons. You know, you got
Yeah.
this one right here, which is pretty stout. Corner beads on that sheet rock, the screws that they put in there. It's getting pretty scary.
But there's a number of requests for the jail facility that are already in the budget. And I'll have to go back and compare it when I get your list.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And let me add, one thing that helps is some of these items that you've mentioned, when we sat down to do the budget, the auditor and myself, it just simply had a number. There was nothing behind it. There was no backup, no explanation, nothing. So that resulted in whatever number was in that placeholder to begin with. So be happy to share that with you.
Please. Yeah, if you can share that with me, I'll make sure that we get you the supporting documents. We thought we had everything in there and
Well,
included.
that's why you're seeing some of these things on this sheet. There's nothing behind it.
Okay. All right. We'll be glad to do it and make sure that if you'll get that to me.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that we cover that.
Okay, Sheriff, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh,
Boy, I shouldn't ask that question.
yeah. I mean, that's an open question. I would love to, but I think these are the most important things.
Okay.
That I bring to your attention. There's a lot of things that we could talk about, but I'll end with that and ask for your appreciation, or appreciate your consideration.
All right, Sheriff, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sheriff, I know that you mentioned you're going to give the judge a copy of that stuff from detention. Can you email that to us as well? I'd like to see what.
It's not just me, it's going to everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to do that.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak on their budget?
The only other thing is the uniforms in the jail.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, in civil and warrants, we covered that.
We covered that.
$6,000, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, that's all right. Ms. Hood?
Good morning, Karen Hood, Midland County Tax Assessor Collector.
Okay. Let me get a new tablet after that one, see if
First, this is not in any measure sucking up, but I just want to thank the court for what you do in working on the budget, because I know it's a huge fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers in Midland County, and I appreciate what you do. I really do, taking into account everything and being fiscally responsible for the taxpayers. And that being said, I have the same philosophy in my office. I have consistently cut my budget every year since I've been in office, and glad to do so. Try to run it the same way I run my finances at my home, which we stay within a budget and plan for the things that we want. And another thing that I promised to do whenever I came into office was to make my office more efficient and to make it more customer-friendly. And one of the things that got cut from my budget this year was another advancement in trying to achieve that. I had put in my budget a queuing system to be within my office.
Are you talking about the ropes?
No, I have the ropes, and they do work quite well.
Okay.
No, but a queuing system that goes in. I'm sure the new DPS probably has a nice new queuing system out there. I've spoke to several tax offices that are my size, same size counties that use queuing systems with much success. I just think this is another step forward in achieving what I would like to see for the citizens of Midland County. Not only will this queuing system be able to direct my customers into the proper place that they need to be, whether they're dealing with dealer transactions, where they're doing title transactions, where they're doing new registrations, where they're doing boat and motor, where they're doing beer and liquor. We can direct them appropriately to the right clerk to be able to do that. We can also direct them if they need some, if they need a bilingual clerk, we can direct them there as well. Were you going to say something, Judge?
How much?
$28,000, and that's going to be at the top end of the line. I have spoke to 3 different queuing systems. The 28 was the most expensive, so that's where I started. My purpose is, I want to go to different tax offices within the state who use each one of those different queuing systems and see how those actually work on site. I'll just read a little bit of something. This is to increase productivity and customer service. The tax office would benefit from a queuing system. Not only will the queuing system help in our day-to-day transactions, but would be also be beneficial in productivity for executing hotel occupancy collections and dealer invoices, taxes, and many others. In many counties, as I stated, across Texas, use these with great results. During peak times, the queuing system will give our customers the assurance they need in the wait time. They will know precisely how long their wait time will be. The queuing system will display their number and will display it on a monitor so that they will know when their turn is coming up. An audio speaker will announce their number and direct them to the number deputy clerk's desk for their transactions. Okay. And one of the things that I really, I'll do it real quick, that I really like about it is I'll be able to tell through the reporting how many titles my clerk did, how many registrations they did, how much time they took with each customer. It's going to be a great way to monitor their work and to be able to see if they need some help in some different areas and some new training.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Karen. So on a particularly busy day, will a person be able to get a number and an ETA so that they can go out and do other business if they need to, and
Correct.
come back 5 or 10 minutes
Correct.
before they need to show up?
Correct, and it's even, it's got extended services to it as well, that has to do with texting and making appointments, things that we probably will not start off with, but things that we could extend into.
Okay.
Along with that, Judge, there was new seating, and my capital outlay under 5,000 was about $3,500 that I needed for that as well, if you choose to.
I don't remember if that's in there, but it wouldn't be under your budget. We'd move it over into a different one. But how much? 3,200?
I think it's about 3,200 for some new seating.
Okay.
So I appreciate it. I think we could
you.
use it. Appreciate it.
Thank you. 3452. 3452, and how many cents? Anybody else wishing to speak on their budget? Anybody else? Last call. Hearing none, item 33 is concluded for today. Now.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
If I can interrupt, I do have one thing.
Okay. Is it under 33, Sheriff?
It is.
Okay, 33 is now reopened for one comment from
And
Sheriff May.
I'm sitting over here thinking about there was something I forgot, and it's the software called SmartCop. I am serious about asking you to consider that in this upcoming budget to replace the Spillman software that we have now.
Okay.
We need to move forward, we need to advance.
Okay.
Commissioner Donnelly had made a comment, and some others had made a comment regarding the movement of the stuff being able to
Conversion.
transfer and
Conversion.
convert over. I have in the audience today an Executive Vice President, Jeff Pugh, with SmartCop, and Mike Snyder also with SmartCop. And I'd like to, with your permission, I'd like to ask Mr. Pugh to come up and address the court on the conversion of items
Okay.
and give you an opinion and tell you what they are capable of doing.
Okay, Sheriff, we're not agendized for that. This is budget requests.
This is a budget
I
request.
understand that, but this would be the only vendor we had allowed to come in. So let me offer this as a
Okay.
compromise. You have made your point. If you're going to be here for a few minutes when we get through, then we can visit with you independently, and that will provide equal opportunity for everybody. Okay?
To give you a rundown on how we arrived at one particular company, we interviewed and had 5 or 6 different companies come in and give us a demonstration of what they have to offer. We settled on SmartCop because of the number of operations that they have going. The Florida State Police, the Georgia State Police, South Carolina State Police, and Montana State Police. And we also had Dale Little check with the Florida Fire Marshals. They had high praises of it and said it was an excellent software system. We settled on SmartCop. They do have HGAC purchasing power, and they have a contract through HGAC that will give us the opportunity to buy it on the contract.
Okay? Is
And,
that your wrap-up?
I urge your consideration and approval of the SmartCop software.
Okay. Sheriff, thank you. Now, we've already had last call, and we had one in. Has anybody else thought of something? Okay, not hearing anything. Item 33 is really closed this time. So with that, we need to address some executive session items, and then we'll come back out and address anything we've missed. So with that, if you'll excuse us, we're going into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with county attorney regarding pending and prospective litigation and other matters. Secondly, item 39, conduct executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 to discuss personnel matters. That is all I'm aware of, unless somebody else has something. All right, let's start with the personnel matter first, and that will be the sheriff's item. and then a second item for us. So with that, we are going into executive session. It is now 12:04 by my watch. Okay, we are out of executive session and now in open session. It's 1:14 by my watch. Is there any action to come from executive session? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.